If your meta ads are profitable, but scaling keeps getting more expensive, your CPM goes up, your CAC creeps higher, and your creatives fatigue faster and faster, that's when most founders are actually looking at Pinterest. And in this video, we're going to break down when it's actually the best time to add Pinterest, when it's making sense, and how to know if it might be too early for your brand, and make sure that you're not actually wasting a ton of money when you're not ready to add another paid advertising channel. After working with hundreds of ecom brands, I have seen a very clear pattern, and that is when you're adding Pinterest ads at the right time, it works extremely well. But if you are not there yet, you're going to waste so much money on testing and angles and just making it really profitable. Most brands add Pinterest when meta the ROAS drops or when the results really fluctuate and they cannot really carry that. So the reaction is, you know what, let's diversify, or we need to add another channel ASAP to carry those drops. But Pinterest really isn't a very good rescue channel, to be honest, especially if your foundations are not there yet. If you don't have a very high or a very healthy average order value, if you don't know the lifetime value of your customer and what you can carry for your cost per acquisition, if you don't really know what bestseller you're going to promote and how the language of your customer is, and you're not really that acquainted with your ideal audience, and especially because Pinterest is going to amplify those problems rather than helping you figure it out. So Pinterest isn't as savvy as Meta yet, where it can find your customers and you could actually kind of make it the other way around. Where if you have a good angle and you have like the basics in place, you can start dialing in. Pinterest isn't the right place to test that because the Pinterest traffic is really intentional and people are already searching for something specific rather than you just giving the algorithm the info and making the algorithm find your people. Here's the part that a lot of founders don't realize, that adding Pinterest ads too early, it doesn't just fail. It actually makes your entire paid advertising traffic harder to manage because you're now actually splitting the budget that you have across multiple platforms that haven't been proven yet. So when is it actually the right time to add Pinterest to your paid advertising? To be honest, I think if you are running profitable Meta ads or Google ads, or at least like have one paid advertising channel that is doing really well, and you have a proven bestseller, you know your average order value, and you have already optimized it to get it higher, and you know the lifetime value. So you know that if you're spending something on the back end, what you'll be like on average getting back per customer. So you know what you can really spend on the acquisition of your customer. And in this way, if you're adding it in this moment, Pinterest is going to strengthen your momentum, and it's going to really strengthen those other ad platforms as well, especially if you're setting it up in the right way and you're going to really be able to scale in a sustainable way. So what I often see is that people who are under 30K a month, you want to actually make sure that you are getting one ad platform really steady. So you're not going to split your budget. You want to make sure that you have a very clear, you're going to go all down on one ad platform and make sure you're really tuning it in. And once you have that dialed in, you can really add Pinterest ads. And honestly, like you could use Pinterest ads as your first platform for sure. But in my opinion, the algorithm isn't as savvy yet as it is on Meta. So it is going to be much harder to get very profitable in a very fast way, unless you really know your audience and you know they're all on Pinterest and you already have an organic presence, for example. Then, if you are across that threshold, you usually have some budget to start spending on another advertising platform, and you already know that your other platform is dialed in. And then Pinterest can really function as that stabilizer. So you don't have to rely on the peaks of Meta, where on a month that you're launching, you're doing 100K, and then the next month you're doing 20K. And Pinterest is going to make sure that you have that stable revenue that is compounding over time, because of course, you're also going to scale your Pinterest ads, but it's also going to function as that fundament that you can use to have to even boost those peaks when you are running your Meta ads and are doing really well, but then also catch those drops that Meta has the months after, for example. Especially because when you're scaling, your business also usually gets more expensive, and then it gets so dangerous to just rely on one ad platform because your whole revenue depends on it. And you want to make sure that you're not going to add another ad platform when you're in panic mode and you're not going to be able to make those really rational business savvy decisions. And that's where Pinterest can be really steady and a stabilizer. And I've seen this with my clients because I run Meta ads and Pinterest ads for them. And what I see is that on the months that we're launching or the months that do really well, we can see that it's working well, and Pinterest is also bringing in its own steady revenue. But at the same time, when the months that Facebook is dropping, we're still seeing that Pinterest is actually bringing in that money, and like it really catches the blow. And then it's turning, like scaling your business is turning into having additional peaks while also like slowly compounding your revenue at the same time because you have such a reliable foundation with Pinterest. And what I see is that when founders edit too early, there's usually three reasons. And one of them is superhuman. And I have been guilty of this a lot of times. And that is just FOMO. People hearing that Pinterest is so untapped and you need to get in early and this is the moment. And sure, all of that is true. But if you're not ready for it, you're still going to waste a ton of budget on optimizing a campaign or optimizing a platform while your other paid advertising channel hasn't been proven yet. So make sure you're dialing in one thing at a time. The second thing I see a lot is that they're kind of feeling that pressure of their agency, for example, and not to bash any agencies because I'm really glad they are there. But to also add another paid advertising channel. But what I also see is that they very often don't have the specialized knowledge of running Pinterest ads because it's not the same as Facebook. And then people are like, they add the Pinterest ads and they never get as profitable as the Meta ads, obviously, because they're not set up in the right way. And then people see that and they're like, yeah, my agency told me to do this, but the Pinterest ads are way less profitable and it must be Pinterest's fault because my Meta ads are doing fine with the agency. And then very often it's just the way that Pinterest has been set up that it's not working, and that's just such a shame. And the last thing is that Pinterest is really intent driven, and people think like, oh, you know what, my product isn't selling that much, I'm just gonna need to get more traffic. But traffic doesn't necessarily equal sales. You still need to know your audience, you still need to know why they want to purchase your product and optimize their product page for sales. And just getting more traffic is not going to make you more profitable, especially because Pinterest is so intent driven. You need to set up your campaigns in a way that you're speaking to those people. And especially if you're doing that, it will really help you get very profitable very fast. But if you are in a panic mode or if you are just not that dialed in with your customers yet, you're going to waste so much money because people come to Pinterest not to be sold to, or like they have very different expectations than they go into Meta and Facebook, where you see sponsors ads all the time that don't necessarily make sense with what you're doing. But people coming to Pinterest, they're searching for a shopping session, they're searching for a a specific product, or they're searching for a solution to a problem they're having. And that's when you need to dial in, and just interruption marketing won't be working. So the key idea basically is that you want to set up Pinterest when you already have a paid advertising channel that is working for you. You are dialed in with your customer and you really know your number. So you know, okay, am I moving in the right direction? And is Pinterest moving the needle for me? It will amplify your momentum and not just create it. And usually when founders are booking a call with me to see if Pinterest could be a fit, they're like, is it actually working for my niche? Does Pinterest actually work? Because I hear such mixed stories about it. And especially because a lot of brands tried once and then shut it down again. And they're like, I don't know. But they're very often measuring it in a completely wrong way. So in the next video, we're going to talk about if you can, how you can see if Pinterest ads are actually working for you, and especially how you want to measure your success and what Pinterest is actually doing to scale your momentum and to scale your brand. So I'll see you in the next video.